Hello gorgeous. I'm going to show you how to embed a hanger into your pieces so that you don't have to drill. I'm going to show you 3 different ways to do it. I want to show you how to embed a hanger. You can do this on a pendant, on an earring, anything that you don't want to have to drill a hole in to use a jump ring. I'm going to make a hanger the same way that I made it on this one. My bales that I want to use have the hole going in this direction instead of in the front, so I have to keep that in mind. If you're going to use a bale or something like that, you need to keep in mind which direction the hole is going. The method that I'm going to show you here is not going to make really a difference. You can change it after you make the piece. Now I use stainless steel in my jewelry. I don't use any other metal, only surgical stainless steel. So if you use stainless steel, do not use your regular jewelry cutters on it. It will rip them up, and I mean, like one cut and your jewelry pliers are done. So I use just some good wire cutters from the hardware store, and then those are not expensive, so if you mess them up, you can buy another pair for, I don't know, probably less than 10 bucks. The only thing is it doesn't do a flush cut, so the edges are sharp, so you need to be careful with that. This is way longer than I'm going to need, but that is absolutely fine because I can cut it off later. And find where I want to hang her. Obviously for this one, I'm going to do it right in the center. She is well balanced, so I don't have to worry about balancing her out. So I'm just going to get a good frame. It's going to go right around in there. So the first thing that I want to do is take a little bit of my backing color, which in this case is going to be wasabi. I'm going to take a little bit of clay adhesive. Your Sculpey, used to be Bacon Bond, is not anymore, or poly paste or Fimo gel or whatever type you like to use. I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive in this area, and I'm going to get this little pinch of clay, very, very thin. Add it right there. I think I'm going to go down a little bit further with it. Get me a little bit of a bigger piece. I want to make this, or I don't want to make it any bulkier than I have to. So I want to get this pretty thin. Okay, I'm going to take my wire. Like I said, this is way too long, but that's okay. The first thing I'm going to do is a loop in this. It doesn't really matter what size. The only thing you need to take into consideration as far as size is the size of your pendant or your earring or whatever. Now, some people use jump rings for this purpose. Now I'm just bending it back and forth, and I probably do this way more than I should, or more than is necessary, but hey. Some people use jump rings for this. I have used jump rings in the past. I have also broken them, because if you use a jump ring, let me find one here. And that's a pretty big jump ring. That's a 10 mil jump ring. Say I use this jump ring and put it on here. Well, I don't want, well, it doesn't matter. Like if I have a whole lot of this sticking up, that's less that's going to be covered by the clay. but I've got to have enough sticking out that I can hang whatever I need to hang there. This is a pretty large one, so you wouldn't have as much problems with this one because all of this here would be covered with clay. The problem comes when you need to use a small jump ring to do this, like say you've got a small earring or something and you want to use a small jump ring. That's when the problem comes, because you're not going to have much of this part covered. And I have tried that before on smaller pieces and they just break off. They don't have enough clay covering them. Even though my clay was cured properly, I still broke them. It just didn't have enough clay covering it. Flatten this out a little bit so that it doesn't stick out. So once I broke a couple of those by using jump rings, I have used this method ever since. I just feel like this is a lot more secure than using a jump ring, because now I have all of this metal embedded down in there instead of just that little bit of a loop from a jump ring. And like I said, this is overkill. I mean, you do not need that much metal in there, but you know, I'm just a extra kind of girl. I'm a little bit extra. It's gonna be raised up right there where this metal and everything is. There's just no avoiding it. It is gonna be raised, but I'm going to try to smooth this out as much as possible. Now I'm just going to leave this as it is. I know it's way too long, but that's okay. Cut it off when I get done. Now, where did my... Yep. Need to get my adhesive back out. I'm going to cover this with adhesive. I'm going to let that sit while I prepare my backing piece. To texture this, I'm going to use paper come off in the clay, and that bugs me, so I just use a nail brush. And you get pretty much the same look, at least as the, it may look a little bit different than the sponge, but it's very similar. And it definitely looks basically the same as the sandpaper. Okay, I've got my backing sheet textured. Now, this is a little trick that I found that helps with air bubbles. It seems like you're never really going to get a complete connection between the front and then the back. And there's always air bubbles that get trapped. So what I do is take a little needle and poke a bunch of holes. And with this type of texture, they really don't show up. They might show up a little bit, but it just kind of blends into texture, really. Then, flip it over. Do it from the other side. And then that way, if you do get air trapped between the backing and the front layer, the air has somewhere to go. Now, trying to make sure that I get the air bubbles out, or at least as much as I possibly can. Kind of roll it on there. Give it a nice press. Any air bubbles that I see or feel, I'm going to pop those with a needle. I'm going to get my blade. And then I'm just going to have to cut around. Okay, now I have all of my cuts made around everywhere else except for the wire. So I'm going to start out as if this were just a petal or anything as the rest of it. Take off as much as I can here. And then see, now that I cut that, that is just going to come right off of that little part. I may have to cut a little bit right here, but then it's flush with the rest and just the wire is sticking out. Alright, now I'm going to take a few minutes to go around and smooth this out. It's very rough right now, and I can do that either with my fingers or with a tool. I think for right here around the needle, I'm gonna, the needle, not the needle, the wire. I'm gonna use a tool to get in there because my little fat fingers won't reach. Alright, and then I'm just gonna go around and smooth the rest of it out. Okay, this beauty is out of the oven. She's cooled off, and she has a wire sticking out of her head. So, what we're going to do is create a closed loop or a wrapped loop. This stainless steel wire is very strong. It's very stiff. It is not the easiest to make a wrapped loop with. Okay. So I'm going to turn her sideways. I can see better on this side. And then I'm going to bend this to the side at a 90-degree angle. And then from there, I'm going to use my round nose pliers to make a loop. Okay, so I'm going to take my round nose pliers. I'm going to set them right here where that bends. I've already started, I had them up too far, but I'm going to set it right there and then bend this wire up, and I'm going to have to straighten this back out first. Whew, I'm probably not the right person to be learning a wrap loop from because I am not good at them. Alright, so I've got my pliers there. I'll try to bring this up and over. I think these pliers work better, I think. Let's try. One pair of my pliers is not very good. I think it's that one. Alright, so I'm gonna, and because I've got this piece sticking up right here, makes it a little bit harder to work with. Get my pliers and bend that on around the best that I can. Then I'm going to string my bail on there. Now we're going to make sure before we go any further that that's going to hang the right way, and yes, it will. Because the last thing you want to do is get this done and realize it's hanging the wrong way and have to cut it off, and then, you know, not going to be a lot you can do at that point. Okay, I'm trying to get my loop just a little bit smaller here, because, you know, there's no point in having it any bigger than it has to be. Okay, now comes the hard part, especially with this wire. Let me find my other pliers. Okay, I got my other flat nose pliers. I said these were flat nose, but technically these are bent nose. Okay, I'm not holding the bell, I'm holding my loop right here, okay? I'm gonna hold right there, kind of straighten it up just a little bit. Try to get the pliers out of the way here. Grab a hold of this end of the wire, and I'm gonna wrap it around this little stem right here. Again, it's going to be harder to do because I've got this leaf sticking up in my way. But I'm going to do the best I can. If you have a thinner gauge wire, it's not going to be this hard. Or if you have a softer wire, it won't be this hard. Pretty sure this is 20 gauge. 20 gauge stainless steel, so yeah, it's pretty stiff. I feel like half of this is not even in frame, but I can't watch that and what I'm doing. Can't watch the camera and what I'm doing at the same time. Now, how many loops you want to do is entirely up to you. With this extremely hard to work with wire, I'm not going to do any more loops than I have to. I'm going to bring this on around. When you're doing a necklace, you don't want to cut on the back. You want to cut on the front if you can, or even on the side, but not on the back, so that it doesn't, what am I trying to say? It doesn't hang the wearer's clothes. Had a necklace one time, not one that I made, just, you know, costume necklace. It was so pretty. My sister-in-law gave it to me as a gift. I really liked it. It was so pretty, but it picked all of my clothes. I absolutely could not wear it because it picked my clothes, and it made me so mad the first time that I wore it. I tried to fix it so that it wouldn't pick my clothes, and it didn't work. I couldn't do anything with it. Alright, I'm gonna take my pliers. Again, these will not cut flush. So I just have to do the best I can with this. Make sure you don't cut your loop. Cut right. Well, I'm gonna make sure I don't have that loop. Okay. Cut right. Cover with your hand when you're cutting, so that it doesn't go flying and fly in your eyes or across the room and hit your pets over there that are getting into everything that you hear, and you know. Alright, so from here I'm just gonna hang on. Sorry about my baby. Her toy box is like a plastic bucket. She dumps all of her toys out of the toy box so she can play with the toy box itself. She's a nut. Oh Lord, I love her. Okay, so from here I've got to do something with this little, see that little piece of wire that's sticking out? I've got to bend this on around, especially with this not being a flush cut. I've got to make sure that I get this tucked in there really nicely, so that it's not gonna poke or snag skin or clothes. And I'm thinking once I wrap that on around, it may be to the back. I may have to try and cut that again. My wrap loops never look that great, but you know, some people are just better at wire wrapping than others. Wire wrapping is not my gig. Alright, so I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to need to do that off camera to get that little thingy there out of the way. But this is one way that you can make a hanger without using a drill and drilling into your piece. Okay, let's move on to option number 2. And school number 2. I've got my backing piece already textured, got my holes poked in it, that's ready to go. So it's just time to make the hanger. If I can pick up this piece of wire. Again, I'm sure this piece of wire is way more than I would need, but I'd rather have it longer. I can always cut off what I don't need. Now this time I'm going to make the loop before I add the backing instead of just leaving the straight wire poking out. I'm going to make a loop, and then I'm going to twist my loop. I hope I have that on camera. Twist my loop. I'm going to twist it a couple of times. It's not going to hurt anything. And then let me cut this off just a little bit because, again, I really don't need that much. And then I'm going to make a little curvies and loops down here. Now, you do this instead of doing a straight piece because a straight piece can just pull out. So if you just put a straight piece of wire in there like this, well, it can easily just pull out. And some people put a straight piece of wire, pull it out after baking, and then glue it back in. I personally don't see the point of that. Why not just go ahead and bend it to start with, and then you know it's not going to come out. I hate relying on glue for any part of my jewelry. So if there's something that I can do, you know, other than using glue, I'm always going to take that option. Because I just don't like relying on glue, because pretty much glue is going to fail eventually. And you certainly don't want to use glue for your post. Do not glue your earring post on. I started to say don't glue your earring post on with glue. What else would you glue it on with? Oh, goodness. Okay. Gonna get some clay. You can either attach it to this first or put it on here first. I usually put it on here first, but you do want to have some clay underneath this. You don't want to just lay this on here like that and then put your backing over. I mean, I guess you could, but I prefer to have some clay underneath. Okay, I'm going to take this, and again, I'm going to smush it out super thin. I mean, I could run it through the pasta machine, but, you know, it's already here in my hand, so why not? Okay, yeah, that's going to be big enough. This is way too much. Actually, just let me go ahead and cut some of this off. Because there's no point in making that bulkier than it has to be up underneath the backing. Although my backing is set on my thickest setting, I generally like for pendants to have a bit of weight to them. I feel like they hang nicer than if they're too light. So I usually put a pretty thick backing on mine. So this is on the thickest setting of my pasta machine. So that little bit of extra clay underneath it would not show that much. Now if you had a really thin backing, that extra bulk would really show. Let me redo that. I'm going to make that loop smaller. I really don't know why in the world I made that loop so big to start with. There was no point in making it that big. So made this one a lot smaller. Okay, I think that's the right spot. Let's turn it around and see. Nope, it needs to go down a little bit. I don't want any more of this showing than has to. I don't want any more of this showing than I have to have showing. Okay, I'm going to push these down in here as much as I can. I may even take just a tiny bit of clay over it just to hold it in place a bit better while I add the backing. Now these aren't completely flat. They're kind of sticking up this way a little bit, but with as thick as my backing is, it's not going to be a big deal there. But you know, you got to keep in mind what the thickness of your backing. Mine is really thick, so it's not going to be a big deal. Okay, time to put the backing on. Okay, I've got some of that excess clay out of my way. I'm going to take a little bit more right here. So, in order to get this to meet up and go around there, I'm just going to work with my silicone tool. Just kind of press and roll it in there. Make sure it covers that little twisty in the wire really well. Don't necessarily need it up over the loop, but I do want to make sure it's up to the loop. Make sure I've got some down in there between the loop and the front, or that leaf, and that's it. I will obviously go back and texture that again. Okay, here's a little bit of a different way. I've never tried this before, so I'm gonna try it together and see how it works. Okay, I don't want a big loop here. I don't want to make a ginormous one like I did last time and then have to redo it. Okay, I'm gonna take my bail and I'm gonna go ahead and thread it on here. Now all of this that I'm doing, if you're doing it, it's gonna depend greatly on like which way your bail is going, or if you just want to use jump rings. You know, yours may have to go in a different direction if your bail is in a different direction, or if you can open the loops on your bail, that's going to make a difference too. So, you know, just things to keep in mind. Hey peeps, just a quick reminder, if you enjoy my content, if you're learning something, or if you just find it entertaining and interesting, I wish you would consider donating to my channel. There is a link in the description box. You can do a one-time donation or a recurring donation. Any amount you want to do, just ever how you want to do it. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. Okay, I've got me some clay on there. I've got to make sure that I leave enough room there for the bail to move around, so I can't get the loop too tight. Gotta leave a little bit of room there. I think that'll be good. I'm gonna go ahead and put, well, before I do that, I'm gonna check and make sure that this is gonna hang correctly and hang balanced before I go any further. To do that, I'm just gonna run a needle tool through here and hold it up and see how it hangs. Okay, y'all, I had to do some work on her. I tried, I held her up, well, she was way off. So I moved the bail over toward the flowers, toward the center to help balance things out. She does hang straight now, maybe a tiny bit off, but not anything to worry about. But what I had to do to fix this, I couldn't fix it just by moving the bail around. So I added some extra clay over here to balance this out. It's not real thick. Maybe you can see it. I'm going to smooth it out a little bit more. But I'm hoping with the thick backing that it won't show too much. That this has a thicker spot right here. I've had to do this before with some earrings, but you know, it might show a little bit. I don't think it'll be a big problem, but even if it does show a little bit, it's not that big a deal. You know, I doubt anybody is going to look at it and say, well, why does it have a thick spot right here? You know, and if they do, then I'll just explain. So I went ahead and filled in my holes here. I've got this here, got this here, and what I'm gonna do, since I'm having to deal with the bail moving around here, I've got to deal with this here. I'm gonna go ahead and bait this and just do a part bait just to set this, and then I'll add my backing layer. Okay, I have all of my pendants finished. This one is the first one, the one that has the wrap loop. Not my favorite, but it gets the job done. This is the second method that I showed you. I made the loop there and used a jump ring to attach my bail. I think I could probably do a smaller jump ring there, but still, looks nice. And then my favorite was the new way that I tried. I think this looks the neatest, and that is just making the loop, adding the bail before adding the backing. Although this is a bit more fiddly, you know, because you've got the bail on there and it's moving around while you're trying to add the backing, so it's a little bit more challenging, but it's not that bad. And I think this one looks the best. So I used that same method on her. Alright, so there you go. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you try it. Let me know how it works for you. If you're interested in seeing how I made these lovely sugar skulls, there is a playlist right here. Go watch that playlist. Or if you've already seen how I made them, then go have a look at this playlist and peruse through some of my other tutorials. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Okay, thanks. Bye.